Welcome and welcome to the next episode of our Live Your Spa Life show. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you guys around spa life. And as you know, spa life is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. I'm so excited to share with you my special guest today, Krystal Brandt. You are going to love to hear from this rock star. Krystal is a transformation coach, helping high-achieving women create a life that they don't need a vacation from. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? She does this by creating a foundation of exquisite self-care as a number one priority. I just love that word, exquisite. Krystal spent 8 years in corporate IT implementing multi-million-dollar software systems. After a period of soul searching following a family illness, she decided to travel to Bali, where she lived for the first time without, listen to this, can you even imagine this in your life, without a busy calendar, roles to play, or a massive to-do list. You need to listen to this girl. Instead, she found something life-changing, herself. Her time in Bali taught her self-care and self-love in a profound new way. After returning from Asia and downsizing her life, she lived nomadically while building her business, finally arriving in North County, San Diego. Yay! She's now created a life that feels as good as any vacation she could dream up. Krystal is a permission giver to those wanting at the core to create a life aligned with ease. Oh, love this sister. Then we can show up and do our soul's work and create powerful impact wherever our journey takes us. Oh, I just love this so much. Welcome, Krystal, and thank you for having the Spa Life conversation with us.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you, Diane.
Wonderful to have you with us. So as always, we want to share people about our spa life journey. And you and I on our walk on our beach talked about this. We are so in aligned with this about how we are actually creating our life to be the one that we want it to be. So let's remind our listeners that spa life is a lifestyle and it accepts that accomplishment and harmony can coexist. You know, a lot of people don't see how that can happen together. And it's a life of intention, one that's balanced and a life that you truly live and love. So Krystal, many people live a life of default instead of by design. So what are some of the things that you consciously create that allow you to live your spa life?
Oh my gosh. I literally do so many things throughout the day that are just for me. They're kind of like my secret sweet gifts to myself, right?
Love
so, you know, the life by default, I totally get. I was doing, you know, the version of success that everyone else wanted for me. I was a straight A student. I went to a great college. I was, you know, president and captain of pretty much everything that I could get my hands on, right? And then I go out into the workforce and I get the corporate job because that's where the money is and that's where you're guided to go. And, you know, it worked for a really long time. I transferred, you know, all those skill sets. I'm a perfectionist. I call myself a recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser.
I get that.
Right? So, you know, with those transferable skill sets, like you put anything in front of me and I'm going to, you know, go on to master it on some level and do really well at it. And then there came a point where, okay, and it feels like all of this is for everyone else. Right? It was just that like moment coming back into soul alignment and tuning into that voice and realizing I was doing all of this for the expectations of me rather than my own desires and my like inspiration from within. And when I got clear on that, I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to wait until the week of vacation, right? In August to do myself well. And so I started investing in myself. And, you know, when we say investing in myself, you automatically think money. And that was a huge part of it, right? Basically, my corporate job became my investor for my own healing journey. And it came down to moments of choosing really easy to do, but really pleasurable and enjoyable things just for me. And I'm always telling my clients and my friends, it's like, start small, like set yourself up to win. With the perfectionist mindset and conditioning, we think it has to be this huge thing and it has to be perfect before we even do it, right? And that keeps us in that trap of the default and staying stuck. So some really easy ways that I started just tuning into me and giving myself what I wanted and needed. Journaling. First thing in the morning. I started with 5 minutes. I started with 5 minutes. And when I was in my job as well, I would deliberately, at least once in the morning and once in the afternoon, take a spin around the block where my building was, just to get air and sunshine. Right. And that's where it started. And now that's exactly what built a life that I don't need a vacation from. Do I take vacations and want them? Heck yeah. I love a switch up. I love it to go to like Hawaii for inspiration and soul connection. Right. That's an add-on to my life, but I'm not running to collapse across the finish line of vacation, just to totally let go for the first time all year long, then come back sick because it's the first time my body has actually relaxed in forever. Right. Yeah. And when the body relaxes, there's a lot to let go of. And then you come back to more emails and more expectations of you. Right. So it starts really small, and those compound effect. I love the book Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It's my philosophy on everything. The smaller you can do, it just builds on itself.
Absolutely. I love that, because some people think, when we talk about, SpaLife, or you talk about living for yourself, and we say these type of things, people feel like sometimes it's unattainable because it's such this big, massive thing that they have to change everything. However, I love how you talk about just changing something that's like 5 minutes, something, just small, and these little shifts that build upon each other that really make a difference. And you're so right. I mean, how many people go to vacation and they're exhausted, and then they sometimes need a vacation from their vacation.
Right. We don't even feel like rested on the back end of it.
Like, what kind of break was that you had? And so to really incorporate, I like to say, incorporate a retirement lifestyle into your day-to-day life. Like, what are the things that you would do someday down the road that you can incorporate every day into your life? So I love that you've embraced this, you did a major shift in your life to, step outside of it, because really our day-to-day environments, we see the same thing over and over again, and we sometimes lose perspective. So I love the fact that you left the country and actually just reevaluated your life and see, what was important for you. So how was that shift? I mean, that's pretty dramatic from being, the pleaser girl, right? To doing everything that everyone else expects, to then just say, peace out, I'm out for a while, right? How was that transition in the beginning?
2 words: terrifying and exhilarating. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, literally like getting the cues, if you will, the intuitive cues to go to Bali made 0 sense.
Yeah.
It made 0 sense. I'm like, what is a girl on the west side of Cleveland going to do in Bali? And why am I going to fly halfway around the world by myself to a third world country where I know no one and do not know the language? For what? I literally had no idea what I was being called to. And fast forward just a month's time, I saw that I needed that yank out of my norm, because the fear of stepping outside of it, I was going to be there for a heck of a lot longer if I didn't have that like switch up. So as terrifying as it was to be so out of control over this like energy just carrying me, and it was the first time where I really started listening to that inner voice, mainly because it wouldn't leave me alone. I ignored it for so long that it got loud enough that I couldn't ignore it anymore.
Right.
And so that terrifying, exhilarating, it led to this massive, just like internal contemplation time for me. And I needed the space. I needed the perspective away from the roles I was playing in my family, friends and work, to come back to what was true for me.
I love that. I love it. I mean, it's a big reason why you and I, incorporate retreats in our work with people, because sometimes you just can't have that perspective in the day to day, and that you actually do need to step outside of your life in a different environment, in nature, connecting with other people, to really then come back into yourself and look at things from a different perspective. So I totally get that, checking out to check back in.
Ooh. Well said. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Krystal, we hear this all the time. The current buzzword that we hear is that I'm so busy, yet we all have the same 24 hours in a day. What is your SpaLife secret that allows you to have the most impact in your day?
My perspective on I'm so busy is that it's almost like a cry for more. more connection, more reasons to stop being busy and to just be. And I also think that it's a shield of protection, because there's so much that is pushing us and calling us forward to do and to give. And a lot of times we're overdoing and overgiving as our norm, and we have no idea that there's another way. And that's why permission giver resonates so deeply for me in my work, because especially high achieving women who are already in leadership, there's something missing and they don't understand that there's another way. Because look, I didn't either. And that's why I'm so passionate about being that permission giver, because we need other examples of integrated leadership, meaning the masculine and the feminine together. It's not about one or the other. And so many of the women that come to me are in this hyper masculine mode of like, you know, there's almost like all the energies up here in the neck and the head, right? Because there's just so much going on and we're kind of like clenched up. And my invitation is like, okay, what allows you to do this? Like, what allows you to let go and breathe a little bit? Right. And those things throughout my day are what create the most impact for me. Right. And so those things for me are, I wake up and I listen immediately to a recording of my boyfriend telling me how much he loves me.
Aww.
First thing, the alarm goes off and I hit play on that recording. Why do I do that? I do that because love is an amplifier for me. It's what my coach calls an abundance amplifier. And this is so powerful because when I start my day aligned with love, rather than, you know, held anxiety from the past day or, you know, sleepiness, that aligns me back into my body and what matters most to me. And that innately like brings me forward through my day versus kind of just like managing and like deflecting things the whole day. Right. So I start with that. And I also start, you know, with a meditation, a guided meditation with, you know, someone that I align to, because that gets me locked in with source. Whatever you call it, you know, God, universe, nature, whatever that is for you, that helps me feel not alone on this crazy journey that we call being a human.
Yeah, I love that about, you know, I love that perspective about busyness as a shield. I mean, we talk about our environment and things that protect us. You know, sometimes it's, you know, clutter in our space or weight, or there's all these things that we put up as barriers that keep us into the world. And to include busyness as another one of those barriers to what we're really here to do. You know, I love that because, you know, it really allows us to, we sometimes forget because people talk about all the things that they have to do. You know, I have to do this. I have to do that. I mean, we both know that you don't have to do anything. It's like, what do you get to choose to do? What's in alignment with your soul? And I love the fact that you are really conscious about, you know, taking that time to yourself to listen to that inner wisdom, to really decide, not from a place of busyness or have to, from a place of choice and how do I want my life to look, you know, to have that happen. You know, one of the things I, you know, speaking of getting up to your life, Sandra Yancey of eWomen Network does this wake up to your success calls in the morning. And she does a series 3 times a year. And she did something this morning and she asked everyone on the call to actually tweet and put out there that says, you know, to complete this sentence, I'd love to see what this is for you, is to say, I unapologetically choose to. How would you complete that sentence?
Yes. I unapologetically choose to leave nothing unsaid.
I love that. Oh, that is
this
so
has
good.
Been such, when I locked into this philosophy for myself, because here's the thing, the people pleaser in me wants to say the right things for the person in front of me.
Yes.
First of all, that's delusional because how could I possibly know what that person actually wants to hear? Okay.
Right.
Second piece, it's none of my business. What is my business is that I speak the truth. And I actually had this woman, a prospect for, you know, this work together. She told me yesterday, she's like, Krystal, I'm always really nervous to get on the phone with you because I don't know what I'll say. And I'm like, exactly, because I tune in and I'm listening for the desires underneath the desires, below the desires, dug under the desires that have been so hidden, and to elicit and invite that forward for you to get in touch with that part of yourself again, because that's your superpower. That's your magic in the world. And that's always the luxury that we deflect for later until retirement, until it's like, My philosophy on retirement is that it's totally a trap to think that you push out into the future what it is that you could actually have right now.
Yes.
The building a foundation of exquisite self-care is all about what pieces of that life that you keep deflecting out into the future until you give yourself cultural, societal permission to have it.
Yes.
What can you bring right now to implement into your day in the simplest ways?
I love that. I like to have my clients have an exercise of, choosing a retirement day. Like, just see what that is, because you're right. There's like this illusion of, someday, or what's that look like, and when I can do all these things, and giving yourself that permission. I love that word of giving yourself permission. But if you just had a day and you just set it on the calendar, even if it's the next couple days, next week, whatever, saying, okay, this is my retirement day. And you wake up as if you are retired.
Yes.
What does that feel like? What would you actually do? And what's interesting is a lot of people have no idea what they would be doing in their retirement. And because it's like this big illusion of like, everything will be easy and everything will, this flow. And it's like, when you actually like consciously put yourself in that energy and experience it and as present and now, then you start seeing like, what would I actually be doing? Right? And you don't actually have to know, but it's interesting and this is, I think, why sometimes we hear from people. I mean, I've retired several times from certain things, and I just look at it as you never retire. You just move into the next thing that your soul is calling you to do. However, one of the things that you look at, and you hear some people say when they get retired after, they do some travel, they connect with family, they do some of the things, they actually feel a sense of boredom, which you and I can't even imagine, because there's so many things to do to actually feel bored. But, that sense of, because they don't know, they had such a hype of what that was going to be, that, actually being in it almost feels like a letdown. So to really step into having that a retirement experience really allows you to see all those things that you thought you had to put off, you can actually have now, and to incorporate those retirement days. I like to have people call it a retirement day once a week, just so you can put yourself in the energy of it. And I love the fact that you have that in every day of your life. However, I think a good place to start for people is start with a day, because then you can actually start experiencing what that actually feels like.
I'm going to even be the voice for start with an hour, because sometimes a day is like, no, I mean, who does that? Honestly, like, who does that in the normal, like, society?
Yes.
So like, start with an hour just for you, and unstructured time. That's the place where you actually get to know you. I got my nails done yesterday. And I was sitting in the chair, and I'm like, I was so surrendered to the massage thing going on my back. And these two lovely women that I go to, they're just so sweet and so supportive to me. And I was just like really surrendered into that state. And I just really wanted to be there for it. Like, we're not there most of the time. And for a lot of women, especially, like, we don't spend a whole lot of time in our bodies.
Yes.
Actually tune into the sensuality, just, even like the friction of the nail file, right? Or the massaging of my legs for my pedicure. And you know what happened? And this is the thing that always goes out the door when I'm creating my calendar, because my default is prioritize like calls with people or the action, like doing stuff over flow time, which is what I call it. My equivalent of retirement days is feminine flow days. Just a flow day, like a total just flow with it. And this is the first thing that I forget, that when I was in, the care of these two amazing women and surrendered into my state, I downloaded the entire pricing structure for a new offering that I'm having. The deliverables came through, the pricing structure came through, some like exercise and activity that I want to do with it. Boom, in an hour.
Yeah.
That would have taken me like trying to consciously like force it to come out, right, on my calendar.
Right.
Wouldn't have happened. And so the fact that I took in the middle of the day myself down to the, nail spa was actually the opening, because when our system can relax, that's when that opening to something bigger than us can bring in guidance to make that ease happen. The ease comes in that surrendered state to get the guidance. And then from there, take the next step.
Yes.
Whoa, like that's a totally radical way to live your life. And trust me, things work better. What do you
Yes. I love that so much. And, you know, what a great insight to just start with an hour, right? Because you're right. It goes back to that overwhelm. If someone's like, oh, how could I take a whole day, you know, when they're running from one thing to the next. So just taking that hour. And I love that about being present, like presence in your body. I mean, really enjoy the experience of what you're in. I remember a friend of mine shared, she's like, you know, when we were talking about the mani-pedi times when we go and do that.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is, I remember she had shared with me, she said, isn't it an amazing luxury that we live in a place where someone actually, lacquers our nails with pretty colors?
I literally had that thought myself. I'm like, this whole concept is kind of bizarre, but I'm really grateful for it.
Right. It's just one of those things where it's like, isn't that
first world problems, right?
First world problems. I love them. So good. I love that. So a surprise question I have for you is, you know, when I talk about SpaLife, it's about creating that environment and, you know, so that your bedroom feels like a sanctuary and your kitchen is where you're nourished and, you know, your different living areas are where you connect with people. And we have this conscious choice to create the different rooms in our life to really inspire us and to feel good. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what is your favorite room and why?
My favorite room, hands down, is my bedroom. I have this gorgeous bedding. It's this, like, the texture is so lovely. And the colors are like, it's like a tan with a light blue over it. And then the accent pillows are kind of like sparkling or metallic. And then I have these like twinkle lights over my bed. So it literally feels like a goddess sanctuary. Mm-hmm. Right. And that, along with like my like crystals or like whatever on the bedstands that makes me feel like most connected to the truest parts of me. When I walk into that room, and especially when I'm in the practice of like really keeping the space clear. So I try to do nothing on the floor. And I know like when things are on the floor, like just in this one part, that I'm like, okay, it's time to like prioritize this a little bit, because it creates so much ease in just walking into the room. And it actually invites me in versus like, oh, there's something to do in order for me to enjoy the space.
Great distinction.
Yeah. So that's another form of my self-care, is to make sure that my bedroom sanctuary is spacious. It's air, you know, I've got air element going. I've got candles. So like really just tuning into all the elements: water, air, earth, fire. And yeah, that space is where I feel the most likely to surrender. For me, I'm really sensitive to my environments. And so that's where I feel like I can put my business down. I can put my relationships down for a second. Yeah. And just be me.
I love that. You know, it's interesting. I love that you're sensitive to your environment, because, you know, until you actually have awareness about how your environment actually impacts you, you know, to really look around and see, you know, what is inspiring you, what allows you to just, you know, invite you into the room and just be. And I think a lot of times people subconsciously have these pulls and they're not sure why a room is unsettling to them, or why they feel the sense they have to do a lot in the space. And it has a lot to do with what's in there. So to consciously create a space that allows you to flow and be, and, oh, girl, I love you have twinkle lights. I love twinkle lights.
Me too. Everything feel more magical.
Right? It's like, you know, some fairy dust, some candles. It's like, I just like walking to Disneyland, right?
Yes. It just brings that added element of like play and fun and whimsy.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Thanks for sharing that. So I know that our listeners are going to want to, you know, keep in touch with you. And how can they do that?
So find me on Facebook. That is where I run the Courage of Ease TV. So Courage of Ease is the name of my brand, and also the experiences that I create, because it really does take so much courage to live a life of ease in the modern day, to prioritize ease as a lifestyle and mindset. Yeah. And Facebook is a great way to stay in touch with my most current content. There's a lot of personal sharing. There's a lot of truth telling. I love being that permission giver for telling more truth in our days, of setting more boundaries, right? Prioritizing our desires. So that's the best way to keep in touch with me there. And I'm also on Instagram with some other amazing content at Krystal Brandt. And that's Krystal with a K, Krystal, Brandt.
Love it. Love it. Well, listeners, you are going to want to connect with Krystal. As you can see, she's created this sanctuary in her life and she wants to bring that to you. So please reach out to her. And I also want our listeners to know that, if you've been leaning into this conversation that Krystal and I have been having around SpaLife and about really consciously creating the life that you want, I also want to let you know that we have a retreat coming up, because you really do need to step outside of your life to really look at things from a different perspective. So you can get more information about that by typing in the comments below the word yes, and we'll get you that information. So if you're watching this on the replay, know that I will always check in and see there and how I can help you. So if you put any comments below, share, like this post, and get that out in the world. This is an important message that Krystal and I are sharing about consciously choosing your life. So any of the comments that you put in there, we will circle back around and answer them for you. Share the love on this. Let people know that you can consciously choose your life. We want you to have that accomplishment and harmony together, and that adds up to your spa life. So Krystal, again, thank you so much for being here. I love your energy. I love you, really sharing how you've consciously created this for yourself in your life.
You're so welcome, Diane. Thank you.
My pleasure. And as always, listeners, live your spa life. Bye for now.